When we build larger ponds, we tend to use larger boulders. Today, we're going to talk rock strapping. We're going to talk large boulder strapping for building larger water features. So when we're building a smaller pond, we deal with boulders that are anywhere from maybe 6 to 12 inches up to 18 to 24 inches. These are manageable by hand. This is probably a two-man boulder. This is easily picked up by one person. When we get into the larger stuff, we have to find a way to move it, and it's usually going to involve a machine and a strap so that we can pick it up and place it inside the pond carefully without damaging the liner. This is not something we can handle by hand, so today we're going to show you how we actually strap some of these rocks and get them into the pond. Okay, so this is the rock we're going to show you how to strap today. I'm going to want this rock so it's pretty flat on top, so when I do strap it, right now you can see it's sitting on an angle like this. So when I strap it, I want to keep in mind that when it picks up, I want it to level out, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. First of all, we're going to start with what's called an endless loop strap. It basically is one big loop. There's no ends on it. It's just one large strap that's all sewn into one loop. And the reason I like to use these is because they're fast, they're easy, and I'll show you what I mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the strap like this, and I'm going to find the outside edges of the rock. I'm going to make sure I get as far to the outside as possible so when the rock does set down inside the pond, I can still get the strap out. If I put the strap all the way inside here, I've got to try and get the strap out from 18 inches of rock, and this weighs upwards of 1,000 pounds. Moving a rock like this, once it's set on top of liner, it can be kind of sketchy and it's not the best option. So we're going to find the safest spot on the outside of the rock so that we can get the strap in, still get a safe lift, but make sure we can get the strap out. I'm going to take the other end of the strap and I'm going to go underneath the other side of the rock. What I'm doing here is creating slack in the middle, which is going to be the eye of the strap where we're going to have our cinch point. And I'll show you what I mean. So now I've got all this strap left over like this. If I take it and I feed it through this eye, I simply pull the endless loop up along the rock, and now I've got a lifting point. When I pick this up, this is going to cinch up. It's going to move the eye this way just from the weight of the rock. So if I have my center right here in the middle, I want to offset back a little bit so when the cinch does come, it pulls it towards the center and picks it up right where I want it. Now I mentioned before that I want this side to come up level because right now it's leaning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset my strap a little bit towards the downside. So when it does pick, it's going to favor this side and level it up. Now this might mean picking it up once or twice to adjust the strap, but once you've done enough of it, you'll probably get it pretty close the first time. So we have our machine here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the end of our endless loop strap right here. I've got a hook on the bucket. It's what we like to have if it's possible. Sometimes we'll go over the bucket and connect to the teeth. Not a preferred method of hooking up the strap, but for this machine we actually have a hook. So our strap goes in and we're ready to pick the rock up. So what's going to happen is Sean's going to pick this up. It's going to start to cinch our eye, and then hopefully we're going to end up with a nice level rock so we can set it in the pond. So our rock is up. You can see it leveled out when we picked it up, which is what we wanted. Our connections on the side are all good. They're nice and safe. Now we can take it carefully over to the pond and set it inside. We've got our rock coming in, so first thing we're going to do is make sure we've got some fabric down to protect our liner so we don't have any issues with the rock itself piercing the liner. So something else you want to keep in mind is you don't want to be anywhere near where the rock might be coming down, because if a strap does let loose, it's not going to land on top of your body parts. So stand off to the side, try to keep it at arm's length so that if there is a problem, you can easily push away from it and not get trapped underneath the rock. So being that we set the strap out to the outside but still safe enough, I was able to pull it out without any problem. So that about wraps it up for today's episode of You Ask, We Answer. Hopefully you got some good information out of our rock strapping tutorial today. If you are going to be strapping some rocks, be sure to be careful. They're usually pretty heavy and they can do a lot of damage. So keep all those tips that we told you in mind when you're strapping your rocks, and you should have a good outcome.